Imagine reaching for a coffee mug on the top shelf, and your shoulder locks up like a rusty gate, or trying to zip up your jacket behind your back. And suddenly there's a sharp pinch that stops you cold. If that sounds familiar, you are far from alone. Millions of people over 60 deal with this exact frustration every single day. And here's the part nobody tells you. It's not just getting older. There's usually a very specific reason your shoulder feels this way. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what's happening inside that joint. And more importantly, what you can start doing about it today. Let's be honest for a second. Shoulder pain doesn't just hurt. It changes your life in small, sneaky ways. You stop reaching for things on high shelves. You avoid certain sleeping positions. You quietly give up activities you used to love, like gardening, swimming, or even just carrying grocery bags without wincing. And the scary part is, most people don't realize how much their shoulder mobility has quietly slipped away until they try to do something simple, like put on a seatbelt, and it suddenly feels impossible. So why does this happen so often after 60? Your shoulder is actually one of the most complicated joints in your entire body. Unlike your hip, which sits deep in a snug socket, your shoulder is more like a golf ball balancing on a tee. That design gives you incredible range of motion, but it also means your shoulder depends heavily on muscles, tendons, and connective tissue to stay stable. And here's the key thing experts point to again and again. As we age, those supporting tissues naturally lose some of their elasticity and strength if they aren't regularly used through their full range of motion. Add in years of sitting at desks, driving, texting with your head down, or simply favoring one arm without noticing, and you've got a recipe for stiffness, tightness, and yes, pain. Now, here's something that might surprise you. A lot of shoulder discomfort after 60 isn't caused by one big injury. It's caused by disuse. Think about it like a door hinge that hasn't been opened all the way in years. If you never swing it through its full arc, it gets stiff, squeaky, and eventually resistant to moving at all. Your shoulder joint works the same way. The less you move it through its complete range, the tighter the surrounding muscles and tendons become, and the more vulnerable you are to small tears, inflammation, and that nagging ache that seems to come out of nowhere. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Research in movement science and physical therapy has consistently pointed to one powerful idea. Gentle, consistent targeted movement can help maintain and even improve shoulder function for most people, especially when pain isn't caused by a serious structural injury. Experts often emphasize that keeping muscles active and joints mobile is one of the most supportive things you can do for long-term shoulder health. That doesn't mean pushing through sharp pain or ignoring your body. It means understanding which movements actually help restore flexibility and strength, versus which habits quietly make things worse. And that's exactly what we're going to walk through together. In just a moment, I'm going to share 7 gentle, doctor-approved style movements that many people have found genuinely helpful for restoring shoulder comfort and mobility. But before we get into those 7 movements, there's one mistake almost everyone over 60 makes with their shoulders without even realizing it. And it might be the exact thing keeping your pain around longer than it needs to. Stick with me, because once you know what this mistake is, you'll probably recognize it in your own daily routine immediately. That mistake is what experts sometimes call protective guarding. When your shoulder hurts, your natural instinct is to stop moving it. You hold your arm closer to your body. You avoid lifting it overhead. You unconsciously let your other arm take over daily tasks. It feels like the safe thing to do. And in the first day or two after a sharp injury, some rest absolutely makes sense. But when this guarding behavior continues for weeks or months, it actually causes the surrounding muscles to weaken and the joint capsule to tighten even further. This is sometimes part of what leads to that frustrating, deeply stiff shoulder feeling that some people describe as feeling almost frozen. The very habit that feels protective ends up reinforcing the stiffness and discomfort you're trying to avoid. So what's the alternative? It's not about pushing hard or ignoring pain signals. It's about gentle, controlled, pain-free movement that keeps the joint lubricated, keeps blood flow moving to the area, and keeps those supporting muscles active without straining them. Think of it like watering a plant that's been neglected. You don't flood it all at once. You give it small, consistent amounts of what it needs, and slowly you see it come back to life. Before we move into the 7 exercises, I want to mention something important. Everybody's shoulder situation is different. Some people are dealing with simple stiffness from sitting too much. Others may have an old injury that never fully healed. and some people should absolutely check with their doctor or a physical therapist before starting any new movement routine, especially if there's been a recent fall, a sudden severe pain, or numbness running down the arm. These movements we're about to cover are designed to be gentle and low impact. Appropriate for most people, but please listen to your body, and if anything causes sharp pain, stop and check in with a healthcare provider. Now here's a quick question for you to think about as we move forward. Out of the 7 movements I'm about to share, one of them is considered by many physical therapists to be the single most effective starting point for almost everyone dealing with shoulder stiffness, regardless of the cause. Keep that in mind because I'll reveal which one it is and, more importantly, exactly why it works so well when we get there. Alright, let's get into it. These 7 movements are simple enough to do in your living room. They require no special equipment, and many people find they take less than 10 minutes total. The goal here isn't to lift heavy or push through discomfort. The goal is gentle, controlled motion that gradually restores flexibility and supports the muscles around your shoulder joint. The first movement is often called the pendulum swing, and this is actually the one many physical therapists consider the best starting point for almost anyone with shoulder discomfort, which is exactly what I promised to reveal earlier. Here's why it's so effective. You simply lean forward slightly, resting your unaffected hand on a table or chair for support, and let your sore arm hang loosely down toward the floor. Then you gently swing that arm in small circles, first clockwise, then counterclockwise, and also gently forward and back, like a pendulum on a grandfather clock. What makes this so powerful is that gravity does the work for you. Your muscles stay relaxed so there's no strain, yet the joint still moves through a real range of motion. This encourages circulation, gently lubricates the joint, and helps reduce that tight, stuck feeling, all without requiring any strength or effort from the injured shoulder itself. The second movement is the wall walk. Stand facing a wall, close enough to touch it, and place your fingertips on the wall at about waist height. Slowly walk your fingers up the wall like a little spider, as high as you comfortably can without pain, then walk them back down. This movement gently challenges your shoulder to reach overhead in a controlled, supported way, which many people avoid entirely once their shoulder starts hurting. And that avoidance, as we talked about earlier, is often what makes the stiffness worse over time. The wall walk lets you rebuild that overhead reach gradually at your own pace, with the wall providing stability the whole time. The third movement is the cross-body stretch. Using your unaffected arm, gently guide your sore arm across your chest, holding it just below the elbow, and hold that gentle stretch for about 20 to 30 seconds. This targets the back of the shoulder, an area that tends to get particularly tight from years of sitting with rounded shoulders or looking down at phones and books. A lot of people are surprised at how much relief this simple stretch can bring, especially if they've spent decades hunched over a desk or a steering wheel. The fourth movement is called the towel stretch, and this one is wonderfully simple. Hold a small towel behind your back, with one hand up near your shoulder blade and the other hand down near your lower back, and gently pull the towel upward and downward in small, controlled movements. This helps restore the internal and external rotation of your shoulder, movements you use constantly without even thinking about them, like reaching to scratch your back or fastening a bra strap or zipping up a dress. When this rotation becomes limited, even small daily tasks start to feel surprisingly difficult, and this stretch helps gently bring that motion back. Now here's something worth pausing on. Many people notice that after just 2 or 3 weeks of consistently doing these first 4 movements, simple daily tasks start feeling noticeably easier. But there's a 5th movement that experts say plays a completely different role than the first 4, because it's not about flexibility at all. It's about strength. And without this piece, many people find their improvement eventually plateaus. Let's talk about that one next. The 5th movement is the external rotation with resistance, and don't worry, this doesn't require heavy weights. A simple lightweight resistance band or even a piece of stretchy fabric is enough. Keep your elbow tucked snugly against your side, bent at 90 degrees, and slowly rotate your forearm outward, away from your body, then slowly bring it back. This strengthens the small but mighty rotator cuff muscles, which are absolutely critical for keeping your shoulder joint stable and properly positioned. Experts often describe the rotator cuff as the stabilizing team behind every shoulder movement you make. And when these muscles are weak, the joint tends to move in slightly abnormal patterns, which can contribute to ongoing irritation and discomfort. The 6th movement is the scapular squeeze. Sit or stand tall and gently squeeze your shoulder blades together, as if you're trying to hold a pencil between them, then release. This might seem almost too simple to matter, but here's why it's so important. So many of us spend hours every day hunched forward over phones, computers, and steering wheels, and this posture gradually weakens the muscles between the shoulder blades, while over-tightening the muscles in the front of the chest. Over time, this imbalance pulls the shoulders forward and can contribute significantly to pain and restricted movement. The scapular squeeze directly targets this imbalance, helping to restore better posture and reduce unnecessary strain on the shoulder joint itself. And finally, the seventh movement is the doorway stretch. Stand in an open doorway, place your forearms on each side of the frame at about shoulder height, and gently lean forward until you feel a comfortable stretch across your chest. This counteracts that forward rounded posture we just talked about, opening up the chest and allowing the shoulders to sit in a more natural, balanced position. Many people describe an almost immediate feeling of relief and openness after doing this stretch, especially if they spend a lot of time sitting during the day. So there you have it. 7 gentle movements, each targeting a different piece of the puzzle: flexibility, rotation, strength, and posture. But knowing the movements is only half the story. What really determines whether these exercises help you feel meaningfully better over time comes down to a few important details most people completely overlook. And one of those details might be the single biggest factor in whether you see real progress in the next 30 days. We'll get into exactly that right after this. Here's the detail most people miss entirely. Consistency matters far more than intensity. It's tempting to think that if a little stretching helps, then doing it harder or longer must help more. But with shoulder movements like these, gentle and frequent almost always outperforms occasional and intense. Many physical therapists recommend doing these movements in short sessions, maybe 5 to 10 minutes once or twice a day, rather than one long session a few times a week. Your shoulder tissues respond best to steady, repeated, gentle signals over time, similar to how consistent watering helps a garden grow far better than one heavy downpour, followed by weeks of dry soil. Another detail that makes a real difference is timing. Many people find these movements most effective first thing in the morning, when the shoulder tends to be at its stiffest after hours of stillness during sleep, and again in the evening, to help release tension that's built up throughout the day. Doing a few gentle pendulum swings before you even get out of bed, for example, can help ease that first thing in the morning stiffness that so many people over 60 describe as one of their most frustrating symptoms. Temperature also plays a supportive role. Applying a warm towel or heating pad to the shoulder for about 10 minutes before stretching can help the muscles and connective tissue relax, making the movements feel more comfortable and effective. On the other hand, after activity, especially if there's been any swelling or irritation, some people find a brief cool pack helpful. This isn't about treating an injury. It's simply about creating the most comfortable environment for your body to move well. Let's also talk about something people rarely connect to shoulder health: sleep position. If you consistently sleep on the same side, especially the side that already feels sore, you may be placing continuous pressure on that shoulder for 6, 7, even 8 hours every single night. Over time, this can contribute to increased stiffness and discomfort. Many people find real relief simply by placing a pillow across their chest and hugging it while sleeping on their back, or by placing a small pillow under the sore arm when side sleeping to reduce direct pressure on the joint. Nutrition deserves a mention here too, not as a cure but as a supportive piece of the bigger picture. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, walnuts, and flaxseed are often highlighted by researchers for their role in supporting the body's natural inflammatory response. Leafy greens, colorful berries, and foods rich in antioxidants are frequently mentioned as well, since they support overall tissue health throughout the body. Staying well hydrated matters too, since the connective tissue and cartilage in your joints rely on adequate hydration to stay flexible and resilient. None of this replaces movement or medical care, but it rounds out a lifestyle that genuinely supports your joints as you age. Now, let's talk honestly about expectations, because this matters more than almost anything else we've covered. Healing and improving mobility is rarely a straight line. Some days your shoulder will feel noticeably better, and other days it might feel a little tighter again, especially after a poor night's sleep or a particularly busy day. This is completely normal and does not mean the exercises aren't working. Many people report that real, noticeable improvement tends to show up gradually over 3 to 6 weeks of consistent practice, not overnight. Patience here isn't just a nice idea. It's genuinely part of the process. I also want to be very clear about one more thing. These 7 movements are designed to support general shoulder comfort and mobility for most people dealing with everyday stiffness and age-related tightness. They are not a replacement for medical evaluation. If you're experiencing severe pain, sudden weakness, numbness, or tingling down your arm, or pain following a fall or injury, please reach out to your doctor or a physical therapist before starting any new exercise routine. Your health always comes first, and getting a proper evaluation ensures you're addressing your specific situation the right way. So let's bring this all together. Your shoulder isn't falling apart just because you've had a few more birthdays. In so many cases, what feels like unavoidable aging is actually a combination of disuse, muscle imbalance, and protective guarding that quietly built up over months or years. And the encouraging news, the news that so many people never hear, is that gentle, consistent movement, done the right way, can genuinely help many people feel more mobile, more comfortable, and more like themselves again. You now have 7 simple, practical movements: the pendulum swing, the wall walk, the cross-body stretch, the towel stretch, external rotation with resistance, the scapular squeeze, and the doorway stretch. Combine these with consistency over intensity, smart timing morning and evening, a little warmth before you stretch, better sleep positioning, and supportive nutrition, and you're giving your shoulders everything they need to move more freely again. Your body has an incredible capacity to adapt and improve at any age, as long as you give it the right, gentle signals consistently over time. So here's my honest encouragement to you. Pick just 1 or 2 of these movements and try them today, right now if you can. Small, consistent action beats waiting for the perfect moment every single time. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of these 7 movements you're going to try first. Or if you've already found something that's helped your shoulder feel better over the years, share it below, because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video gave you something valuable, please share it with a family member or friend who's been quietly dealing with shoulder pain, because so many people don't even realize simple, gentle movement could make this much difference. And if you'd like more honest, science-based tips for staying active, mobile, and independent as you age, go ahead and subscribe, because there's so much more valuable information coming your way. Take care of that shoulder, be patient with your progress, and I'll see you in the next video.